Hey there, it's Crissy Keye Rollins here. And in today's video, I'm expanding the conversation we got started last week, helping you understand how expectations and attachments lead to disappointment. And I'll be sharing with you insights into why others so often let us down and why you should stop waiting for others to change before you start creating the change that you desire in your world. Plus, I'm going to walk you through the creative process of making your own wire-wrapped glass charm, very much like this one, which makes a wonderful charm to hang from your rearview mirror of your car, in a window so that it can catch the sunlight, or really anywhere in your home that you'd love a touch of color and charm. So be sure to stick around for that after my quick chat, and let's get started. If you're new to this series, I've been sharing weekly insights around the creation process and guiding you step by step to understanding the mindset and energy that lies behind taking consistent action toward creating whatever you desire in life. By becoming aware of these insights that I'm sharing throughout this video series, it will help you to overcome challenges and limitations that have been holding you back so that you can ditch the excuses and show up in life with confidence and clarity. And if you want early access to these videos, you can join the community that I am building over on Patreon. Find out more at the link below at bit.ly holistic support. Now, today's discussion, again, is an expansion of what we talked about last week. So often, our attachments and expectations lead to disappointment, and this can also translate over into our relationships. So if you're finding yourself frustrated, agitated, or really wishing that someone in your life would change so that you can finally move forward, so that you can finally experience what you desire, I'm here to let you know that you are actually the one who needs to change first. Other people let us down in our relationships most often because we are holding them to expectations that they never agreed to meet. Take a moment to consider that, especially the next time that you find yourself frustrated or agitated with someone that you're in relationship with. Stop and ask yourself, did this person agree that they would do or wouldn't do whatever it is that I feel like they're failing to do in this moment? Did they tell me that that's the way that they were going to behave and engage with me? If they did, then it's the perfect opportunity to set aside your frustration and open up a door of curiosity and start the next level of communication with them. Highlight the fact that you previously had discussed this, that they were willing to agree to it, and find out why it is that they are failing to do so now. This level of communication is far more effective than just giving somebody the cold shoulder, holding a grudge against them, or just being agitated with them overall. What you will find is that the majority of the time that someone is letting you down, it is because they never agreed to act the way that you would love for them to act in the moment. And so often, especially in the relationships of people that we have in our life that are supposed to care about us, are supposed to have our best interest in mind, you'll find that with a little bit more clarity in your communication, you can come to an agreeable outcome and you can start to shift the dynamics that you've had in that relationship prior. I know that in my own personal experience, I would often point a finger at other people and say, if they were just more understanding, if they were just more communicative, if they would just stop doing this, if they would just support me, then I could finally have, do, be whatever it is that I desire. When I started to shift out of trying to wait out life for other people to change and instead change the way that I was engaging with them whenever this disappointment hit, I opened new levels to the relationships that I already had. I was able to build relationships with people that in the past I really struggled with. And I quickly realized that I was the one who was needing to change all along. So if you've been waiting for someone in your life to change so that you can finally start doing what it is that you desire, I'm going to challenge you and extend the invitation for you to consider that maybe you need to move forward and then they will begin to change. Maybe you need to clarify in your communications and make better agreements with those that you're in relationship with. Give this a consideration and definitely drop in the comments below if this is hitting home for you. Is this something that you already practice? Have you already considered this before? Or is this a new thought for you to begin to experiment with in your life? I hope that you find it helpful and that you find the same results that I did on the other side, which allow for my relationships to start to transform into the next level. It may also help some relationships that need to go to finally dissolve once you start communicating what your expectations are and start to open that door of curiosity as to why they might not be meeting them. Again, especially if they did actually agree to do so in the first place. Their experience, their justifications, their rationale may surprise you. And don't be surprised if you run into some of your own stuff throughout the process. Now, I know that this was a quick insight, but I do want to move on to the tutorial. So if you are interested in learning how to make one of these beautiful wire wrapped glass dangles, including this nice little hook here, then stick around because that's what I'm going to show you next. You can also find these glass charms available for purchase in Holistic Restoration's Etsy shop at bit.ly/shop-holistic. So if you would rather purchase one than make one, then hop over there and check that out. Okay, y'all. So to make one of these lovely wire wrapped glass dangles, charms, whatever you want to call this little cutie, what you're going to need is some pieces of glass. I have this little container here that has different kinds of glass. You can buy these at any kind of craft store. There's these little kind of rectangle shaped ones. They also come in half the size where they're little squares. They come in multiple different colors. You can pick whichever colors and shape you like. And then I also have some of these little round glass pieces. You often see these like in vases or tabletop decorations. They work really, really well. Some of them are kind of an oblong shaped, but you're going to need several pieces of glass, whatever shapes call to you, get you excited. Go with what, your instincts pull you towards. You're going to need some pieces of glass, however many you want for however long you want this to be. I'm going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of glass for mine. You're also going to need some wire. Now, wire comes in all different kinds of thickness. They can come in a little roll like this that you can find at craft stores very often. The wire that I like to use the most is actually found in the floral section. It's this long 18-inch steel wire that is used for floral designs. I like it, one, because the price point's a little bit lower than in the other side of the craft store. And also I like it because it's a very thick, stiff wire. This is an 18 gauge wire, and the lower the number, the thicker the wire, the higher the number, the thinner the wire. And not all wire is made from the same material. So you'll want to play around with the wire that you like to use best. I like to get these long floral sticks, and then I cut them down to 9 inches into 6-inch pieces because that's what I find that I work with most often. So you'll need your wire, you'll need a measuring tool to measure them down to 6 to 9 inches to make them a little bit more workable. And then you're also going to need a set of wire snips so that you can cut the wire, as well as some pliers so that you have a way to help to bend the wire, especially whenever we're making the hook part. That's all the supplies that you really need. Everything else is left up to your imagination and your creativity. So I'm going to move the camera angle around so that you can see how I lay this out and how I get it started. Okay, so now that you have all of your supplies, you're going to find the pieces that you want to use. I have mine pre-selected here, and then you're going to want to lay out the pattern that you like most. So whichever pattern you want to end up with in the end, I always go ahead and lay it out so that I can get a good visual on how I want to put it together. That's also going to let me know which way I'm going to make the pieces, because as you can see, some pieces are going to be finished at the bottom and then need to hook at the top. Some pieces are going to have a hook on either side. And then of course, we're going to finish it off with the hook at the top. So this is the layout that I really like for this particular set. And now I typically start at the bottom, or whichever piece that I really want to. For this tutorial sake, I'll start with the bottom piece. Now the bottom piece is only going to need to have a hook at the top so it can connect to the piece above it. And it's going to be finished at the bottom. And I'll show you what that looks like. So take one of the 6-inch pieces, should be enough for this little guy. I grab the end of the wire with my pliers and I just start to make a little spiral. And what I'm doing is making just a little base that can sit at the bottom of the glass piece so that I can wrap the rest around. So this is going to work to hold the bottom into place just like this. And then I'm just going to intuitively hold the bottom into place and then bend the wire around the piece of glass itself. Part of this you can do with just your fingers. You may hit a point where you find that it's easier to do with your pliers, but I find that most of the time working it manually is the best way to go. And you'll notice it'll kind of slip around a bit. So you just have to be patient. And then you want to wrap it around where it's super secure. So you don't want this coming off in any direction. So once it's in there good and tight, you should be able to wobble it around and there shouldn't be too much movement to it. And as you tighten up the top piece, it'll get tighter and tighter around. So as you can see here, I just wrapped it around the entire glass piece. We're left with this little loop, this little piece at the end, which we're going to turn into a loop. So I grab with my needle nose pliers. Can you see how these have the little needle nose to them? I get right at the top of the piece and I make a little loop, and that's going to allow the next piece to connect to it. So I'm just going to let there be a little loop here, and then I'm going to bend it up because we're going to have that loop connect to the top. And then I'm going to use my pliers to finish wrapping this around tight. And again, you want to make sure that it's good and secure. If you give it a little shake, you shouldn't feel any wiggle or wobble, and that's it. There's no real rhythm or rhyme to this. This really is about just connecting with the shape of the glass that you're working with and letting the wire wrap around it in a natural, organic way. At least that's the way that I do it. If you do wire wrapping and you have some tips for me, I am totally open because I just made this up as I went along. Now we're done with that first piece. We can set it to the side. This next piece, we are going to make just like this one. So as you can see here, it's got a little hook at the top and a hook at the bottom so that it can connect to the piece below it and the piece above it. I like to use my 6-inch pieces again for this one. And this time, I'm going to start with making a little loop because we don't want it to hit flat. We want to have a little loop there. So you see how that just makes a little loop, and I'm going to use that at the bottom of my design and then wrap it around using my fingers from there. And the round ones are super tricky because they are very slippery, but once you get a good grip going on it, then you should be able to wrap it the rest of the way around. And then again, once it's wrapped around, you can tighten everything up with the pliers. This one I have a tendency to do like a little spiral around. Here we are. Now we want one of these loops to be at the bottom. So I'm just going to pull that one around a little bit more, and then we'll make this next loop at the top. Now this one you don't want to close all the way because we're going to connect it to the piece below it. So you can go ahead and slip it in so that they're connected just like this. Let's see if that can get a good view. And then we're going to close that and make sure that that bottom piece cannot come off. Voila, just like so. And then we're going to continue this process for the next two pieces, making a loop at the bottom and at the top. And then when we get to the one at the top, we are going to do the same thing so that the hook can hook on. For the bigger pieces, for these rectangle pieces, and this one, I Mod Podged a couple of flowers, the pressed flowers. If you missed that pressed flower video, you can see that. You can go back into the archives and visit that video. You can see how I press flowers and also how I attach them. How I do them on the journals is the same way that I do them onto glass. And for this one, I like to use the 9-inch length because I find that that just works best. I'm going to make a little loop again for the hook. You can leave it a little bit open if you like. And this one being a rectangle, I kind of go ahead and give it a little bend so that we can get a good little start on it. And this one, of course, is just going to wrap around the same way that we did before. I think the most important thing is that you get a snug top, bottom, and side. As long as you have a snug top, bottom, and side, then the way that you wrap it from there really doesn't matter quite so much. This one I feel called to kind of bring around, and then we're going to loop it back around the center. And again, it's going to slip, it's going to slide, but this is where you get patient. Be patient with the art that you create. And it shows you, even after all the ones that I've made, it still slips, it still slides. It's just part of the way that it goes. And again, if you have some tips for me, I am always open for those. going to bring it around here and then loop it back around. You just want to make sure that there is enough to make the next loop. And I will show you how you can deal with these little gaps that are made. See how there's a little gap between the glass and the wire? I'll show you how to deal with that too. I'm going to go ahead and finish this little guy off with a loop. And then I'm going to come back around, and anywhere that I want it to be tighter, I'm just going to put my pliers on there and give it a little twist and a little bend in the wire. And that's going to allow it, one, to have a little decorative look, and two, help it to be a little bit more secure. And you may find that twisting it one way makes it tighter, twisting the other way makes it looser. You just have to experiment to see which way you need it to twist and turn for the most tightness. And be careful if you are dealing with some flowers that are connected to it that you don't scratch them off in the process with your pliers. I want to bend that part down. There we go. And then you'll find one way will hook better than the other way. And again, it's all in your design elements and presentation that you want your final product to look like. And I may come back after I put this all together and tighten up some of these spots that are still a little bit loose when I know the right angle that I need to bend them at, just like that. So that'll slide it into place there. And then we can lengthen this part up here. And get it ready for the next attachment. So for the next one, I'm going to use another 6-inch wire. I'm going to do my little loop at the end. And then I often go ahead and give it just a little twist so we got something to work with. This one's a little bit smaller than the first one, so it's a little bit trickier to hold on to. And same with this last one. The last one's the smallest, so that one's going to be the most challenging out of all of them to do. And if you end up with some extra length, like here, I've got this extra length that I don't need, then we can just use our wire snips to shorten that down a bit, make sure that gets put in a safe spot. And then we can twist our last remaining piece here. And now you'll find you'll want some to loop in this direction and some to loop in that direction, either flat or perpendicular. And that just depends on how it's going to connect to the one above it. So this one, I'm going to give a little bit more of a twist to this particular one. So it'll hang in the direction that I would like for it to. We're going to attach it onto there. And you see, it is coming right along. And then the last piece is a little smaller. So I'm going to find one of my smallest little snips here. And again, we're going to make the loop. Bend it back a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and start the bend off the piece of glass, and then it'll be easier to wrap it around this little ball here. I'm just going to help this out with a little pre-bending.
And I'm going to just use my needle nose pliers to hold this wire into place so that I can wrap it around the rest of the glass. There we are, again, making sure that it's tight and secure. If you give it a little jiggle, that it doesn't have too much wiggle. And again, I've got lots of extra here, so I'm just gonna snip this part off, set it in my cup to the side, and then get this last loop into place. There we go. See that cute little guy? See if the camera can pick up on that well. Slip this one into place here. Just like that in better. Now we're going to go back and we're going to close up all of these loops. We can even close up the top one because I'll show you how you can add on that hook with having that closed. We're going to close up this one. And I usually go back once everything's put together and just make sure that I'm happy with how it hangs. So we're looking just like this. There we are. Now for the hook, I also use a 6" for the hook. I start with one end and I give it a little loop. Try to go with the smallest little point on my needle nose pliers for this. That. See how we have the nice little loop? Move these out of the way for you. And then once I get that kind of curled around on itself some, just like this, then I'm going to take my bend and go in the opposite. I'm going to put it at the highest part, the thickest part of the needle nose plier, and I'm going to bend it in the opposite way so that it bends back on itself just like this, like making a fancy little J. See that? And now we can take this, run it through our piece. We can go ahead and tighten this connection up so the hook does not come off. If you want to leave a bigger loop so that you can take this off again, you totally can. I'm just going to go ahead and make it secure on there. And then I'm going to bend in the opposite direction. Oh, need to tighten those up. So where we made the loop this way, now I want to bend the hook the opposite way. So then we just make a little start to help it bend, curve it around just like so. So you have a nice little hook shape, just like this. And now we're going to curl up this end in the opposite way again. And then if anything gets curved or twisted along the way, you can just go back and flatten it out. Sometimes the needle nose help with that. Make sure everything is laying flat and in place. And you can curl that up just as much or as little as you want to, and you've got a nice little hook there for hanging. Got it? So again, we're going to go back and tighten up all these pieces, make sure that the glass is hanging in the way that we want it. And then we are all done. Super simple, super lovely, and a lot of fun to make. There we go. And voila, our next hanging charm is complete.
If you have additional insights to share around waiting for others to change or around making wire-wrapped glass charms, be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below so that we can all learn from you as well. And if you make one of these beautiful charms, I want to know about that too. And the next time that you find yourself feeling disappointed with someone, check in with yourself and see what expectations you're holding them to that they never agreed to in the first place, and where you may be able to drop those expectations or more effectively communicate your needs and become more aligned with how life is leading you into the next level of the life that you desire. I'd also like to know what you would like to see me create and discuss around the creation process. What would you like more insights around, and what questions come up for you around the creation process? So definitely share that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this video with others. If you found value in what I share, then give this video a thumbs up and be sure to hit subscribe wherever you are viewing this. Turn on the notifications so that you know every time that a new video drops. Your help in supporting this channel really means a lot to me. And if you haven't done so already, I invite you to check out the community that I am building over on Patreon. You can check that out at the link below. And in this community, I am guiding you throughout the year on how to discover and live more fully into your purpose, how to create a life that's aligned with your purpose, and how to do it all in a way that is a service to others. So if you are interested in plugging into that conversation and support, hop over to bit.ly Holistic Support for more details. Right now is the perfect time to join, because when you do join or up-level your membership, you'll receive a free one-on-one breakthrough session with me, giving you the space to connect to what your best next step is toward moving into the life that you desire. Go check that out. And either way, I look forward to seeing you again next week with another creation process video and tutorial walking you through the creative process. Bye.